Ah. What is up, YouTube? Today, all we are doing is training. If you guys don't know who MilSpec Mojo is, go look him up. If you guys don't know what his monthly cold starts are, go check him out. Basically, for the past, I want to say year or so, MilSpec Mojo has been putting out one drill a month where he basically gets some of his homies together and they go and they shoot this drill and then they talk about performance. I actually really enjoy the videos. I think he does a good job coming up with purposeful drills, and I think he also does a good job of critiquing the shooters he brings along and helping them grow, so that if you go to the range and you have similar problems to those guys, you can kind of get like free training essentially. So today I've got 3 of his cold start drills that we're going to be running. I'll explain it, we'll shoot it, and then we'll look at performance as well as potential fixes to our problems. You guys might notice today that the kit I'm running is pretty bare bones. I'm actually not even running a duty rifle today. Today we're going to be running the Springfield Kuna. I got this rifle a couple weeks ago and have really been wanting to take it out and kind of put it through a full day of training. So today's my opportunity to do that. Not to mention, if you just have guns sitting around that you don't really practice with or train with, it's hard to have a lot of faith in yourself being able to execute properly in the real world. The other thing you might notice is this kit is pretty bare. Next month, I'm gonna be going up to Boise, Idaho and competing in the tactical games skirmish. And so this is currently set up for the tactical games. I've got 7-pound weight plates on each side of this. They're the Jacked Rabbit plates, so they're filled with sand, but they kind of conform to your body, allow you to move around a little easier when you're doing stuff like you do at the tactical games with CrossFit movements, climbing over things and crawling and dragging and yada yada yada. Before we actually jump into the shooting though, I want to kind of tie this into my dry fire video, which if you haven't seen, I'll put a little picture of it right here. I'll put a link below. My approach to training has totally changed since being in the military, and the main thing that changed is how I look at live fire training versus how I look at dry fire training. To me, dry fire is really the brunt of the training. It's where you go and you fix all of the things that you're doing incorrectly. On the other hand, live fire training is where you come and you figure out where you're actually at. An analogy I like to use, it's almost like your 1 rep max. You go to the range, you figure out where you're actually at in terms of performance, in terms of the things you're doing good and the things you're doing bad, and then you take that home and you fix it during dry fire. Another thing with live fire that I think is important to talk about is that a lot of times when you're doing dry fire, especially if you're in your home or your garage, you may not have a ton of space to be mobile and to move around. So you'll notice today every single drill we're doing involves movement, because fighting is movement. You're always moving and fighting, no matter what kind of fighting you're doing. Even if it's jujitsu and you're sliding around on your butt or scooting around on your butt, you're still moving. So when you come to the range, I think involving movement is really important, especially if you have a range where you can do that. You know, everyone's so worried about their split times when they're shooting and how fast their draw is in their first round out of the holster, when in reality, where you can really make up time is the actual movement in the stage and how fast you can get your body to a point where you can actually engage a target. All that being said, let's jump into the first drill. I'm going to explain it like I said, and then we'll do a couple runs of it, and then we'll talk about kind of what we learned. I tried to set up the camera in a position where you can see both of the targets as well as the cones out there. So we have 3 sets of cones. We have cones at the 10-yard line that are centered on our 2 targets. Then 5 meters out from that and 10 meters back, so at the 20-yard line, we have 2 more cones. And then if you go 10 meters from that, we have another set of cones at the 20-yard line. So basically, it's a triangle with the tip of it being at the 10 and the back 2 set of cones being at the 20. We're gonna start at the 10. When our shot timer goes off, we're going to engage each head box 1 time. Then we're going to run to the back right cones. We're going to engage each A zone in the chest or center mass with 4 rounds each. Then we're going to run to the next set of cones while conducting a reload. We're going to engage that center mass A zone again 4 times with each target. The goal here is 1, we're practicing our holdovers at that 10-yard line. 2, we're involving movement and what's the fastest way for us when we get to a new position to engage the target. And then 2, we're working through just kind of not only our kit, but also our reload mechanics on a new gun that we don't train with often. All right, so we will start at the low ready position, and we will just go on the buzzer. Oh, jeez. I went to grab my pistol mags on that one. Shows you how much I've trained with this gun. Okay, time, which was terrible, was a 19.6. Ran into a couple issues there, especially with the mag change. But this target's clean. In this target, we have 2C. We have 1 Charlie just outside the A zone. And then we got our headshot, just ended up down slightly lower. One of the first things I realized on that was my microphone right here got in the way of my kit and it started sliding off. So I'm gonna move that to the other side. Hopefully we don't run into that problem this time, because that was like, I would shoot and then the gun would slide and slide and slide. We had 86 total points, so 5 for each A zone, 3 for the Charlies, and then our time was 19.6. So that's a 4.38. So we're gonna try to get this, I bet we could get this to a 5 if we sped this up a little bit. I can definitely pull the trigger on this Kuna a little faster. Again, I do not like that at all. I keep grabbing my freaking pistol mags. All right, so on this target, we are clean except for we missed our headshot. And then here we have 2 Charlies and we hit the headshot. Okay, so our time was 16.24. Total score is 84, which gives us a hit factor of 5.17. That reload killed me there. It ate probably like, I don't know, at least a second and a half, 2 seconds. So let's try to, I'm gonna try to really lock in this reload here. And then let's see if we can get this to like a 5.5 hit factor. I think one of the reasons that this is an issue in the reload for me, whether it's rifle or pistol, I'm always going to my belt for my first reload. It's my fastest reload. And so it's common for me that when I break this into my shoulder and I go to do a reload, I'm immediately going down here when I just have to make that mental note. I got to grab here because none of these pouches can fit one of these. I can't. Better, not great though. Still went for the belt, but I corrected it faster. Okay, so total score, 78. Time again, 14.29. Gives us a hit factor of 5.45. So we were going for that 550. Definitely picked up my speed on my trigger squeeze there at that second cone, which was nice. And then after that reload, just took my mind off the drill and I slowed down again. So overall, not bad though. One of the principles that I think is important of training that I think not a lot of people teach, in fact, this is something I never really heard when I was in the Army, was that you want to have dirty targets, all right? Like having a perfect target with this super tight group that's just amazing and awesome and looks great on paper, you don't learn anything from that. You can't take away anything from that target. Basically, if you have a super tight group like that and you're never expanding that group, it just is telling you that you need to shoot faster, that there's another level that you're supposed to be reaching, that you're deciding to keep your target looking pretty instead of stretching out your performance and seeing what issues need to be fixed. All right, so this next drill, we've got cones set up at the 25, the 15, and the 7-yard line. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start at that 25-yard line. We're gonna sprint to the 15. When we get there, we will shoot 6 rounds at the A zone. Then we will run to the 7 and shoot 2 rounds to the head box. Things I like about this drill. 1, it includes movement. 2, as we're moving closer to the target, we're also refining to a smaller area where we're trying to get our rounds to impact. I think in the video he mentions that like the head box is okay for the guys he's training, but today we're going for just that credit card little A zone inside of the head box. And if we get outside of it, obviously counts as a Charlie. We'll do hit factor scoring. No reloads in this one, thank goodness. A line breaker here on the A zone, and we missed. We got 2 Charlies. Total time was 5.97. So we got 36 points total divided by 5.97, giving us a 6.03 hit factor. So that's our goal to beat here. I totally threw that last one. Clipped him right here. Time of 5.92. 2 Charlies, 1 Delta. 5.74. So let's just try to break 6 on this one. I didn't think of my holdover on those heads. 4 Charlies on this one. And our time was even slower, 6.05. All right, so that one was a hit factor of 5.28. I think that would have been a much better run if I had just taken a little bit more time on those headies. One of the things I like about that drill is you have to start slowing down before you get to that 15 and that 7-yard mark in order to have accurate shots. If you just kind of maintain this full sprint and then try to full stop, you end up kind of doing one of these and you end up getting on your sight, but then as you're coming up, I just feel like it was I dip too low, then I come up. I think it was common for me to come to the stop, I'd go up and I'd overcorrect back down and then back up again, which you could tell that 15, it always took me a little bit more time to get my shots off. A guy at a USPSA match once told me, he called it wall hacks. Like you already can see where the target's gonna be. So as you're approaching whatever it is that you're going to be either shooting around, or if you're coming to a stop and your gun's gonna be coming back up, like you might as well just like turn on your wall hacks and get your gun up and be ready to shoot and like be prepared for that shot right then and there, instead of getting to the point, then bringing the gun up and going. All right, this next drill is the one I've been most excited about all day. So we got 5 cones out here, all right? We've got one in the center, 10 yards out from the target. And then we have a cone 5 yards in front of that, 5 yards behind that. Then we also have a cone 5 yards to the left of the center cone and 5 yards to the right of the center cone. You're gonna start this drill on the center cone and you're gonna engage the target's A zone with 3 rounds. Then you can pick any of these wings to go to, and every time you're on a wing, you're going to engage the head box twice. Again, this is one of those drills where Mojo basically said, hey, if you hit the head, then that's what we're counting, but we're still gonna stick to that little credit card A box. Then after you shoot the head box on the wing, you'll return back to the center, engage that center mass A zone with 3 rounds, then pick another wing until you've gone to every single wing, and the drill will end after you've shot at the final wing and you've returned to the center and shot your final 3 rounds. All right, so due to the high round count of this drill, I mean, each time you do this drill, it takes 23 rounds. We're just gonna do this drill twice because I'm broke, I don't have an ammo sponsor, I'm 28 years old, and I have 4 kids. Missed one of those for sure. Oh, crap. Woo! 25.23. I really like that drill. That's a cool drill. 1, 2, 3, 4 Charlies total. All right, so for the first round, we had a total score of 107 and our time was 25.23, which gives us a hit factor of 4.24. There was that one moment where I went to the right wing and skipped over the middle and had to return. Obviously that ate into some time there, but let's shoot for a 5 hit factor here on the second one and see what we can do. Ah. 23.69. I felt that when I threw that one. Total score on that run was 97 with a time of 23.69, which gives us a hit factor score of 4.09. So we did worse, but we did go slightly faster. Again, I did that where I kind of cut over that middle cone coming back from the right and had to kind of backtrack a little bit, but I mean, it's not like that's a game changer amount of time. The other issue with that one was I was so focused on going faster that I actually ended up throwing rounds that didn't need to be thrown. Like I just wasn't prepared to take the shot with my vision, and I ended up just taking the shot anyway to keep the clock going. So I think we're actually gonna do this one more time, and let's try to get that 5 hit factor. Total score was 99 points with a time of 23.73. Final hit factor score of 4.17. So not what we were looking for. Definitely some big takeaways here. Number one, I need to be more explosive on my exits from positions. So for example, just how fast I leave that center cone and start my movement to a new position, as well as when I get to that position and I'm done shooting, how explosive I am going to that next point. That being said, I would say the second most important thing I learned today was being controlled in my entry into a position. So I want to be as explosive as possible when I'm exiting, but it has to be controlled enough that when I get to that position to shoot, I'm not recovering from my movement to get there. I'm just at that point with those wall hacks, ready to shoot, ready to go. So that's it for the training today, guys. If you guys haven't checked out Mojo's page, go do it. I think he's posting these videos once a month. And as you guys can see, these drills are well thought out. I think you get a lot of value out of them. If you're not just burning through rounds, but you're actually trying to learn something from your targets and where your rounds impacts are. Especially that last drill, I think you could do that with pistol. Obviously you could do it with carbine. I think if you were to do it with carbine, spacing it out a little bit more might be kind of fun. So instead of 10 meters for that center cone, maybe do it at 15 or 20, and then have each of the cones 10 yards apart, so that you're introducing a ton of movement and way more separation from the target and different weirder angles. I'm also super impressed with this Kuna here. My favorite part about this thing is the trigger, guys. Like for a stock trigger, this is actually kind of stupid. Gun is clear. This is a stock trigger, which is pretty cool. So here's the take up on it. So you can see the movement here. There's a little bit of mushiness right there, as you can see, that small bit of movement. Then you kind of hit this wall and there's a tiny bit more movement and then it clicks. Gun cycles. This is the best part of this. This reset is super crispy. Boom. And you're right back on that wall again. No mushiness now. So it's after that reset, there's no mushiness. It's a straight, perfect pull. I know some of you guys have seen these on a couple of my other guns. This is the Frico stopper. It's one of their little stoppers. I like it for something like these PCCs where I can just kind of put my finger around it, but it's also nice to have this on something like a rifle where if you're shooting from a barricade, you can lock that into that barricade and kind of have a little bit more control and pressure on the gun. Go check out some Frico products. This is actually one of the first times I ever have had a code. So if you use the MM for the Mormon Marauder, so all caps, the MM, you can get 10% off and it helps support the channel. Go out, train. If you guys want me to make more videos on training, or you want me to make more videos on the Springfield Kuna, whatever it is, put them in the comments below. I'll see you guys next week.